What drives a person to risk everything for just a few more miles per hour? For some, speed isn't just a number. It's a feeling, an obsession that consumes years of work, millions of dollars, and sometimes their lives. Through the decades, people have pushed the limits of machines and themselves, on land, on water, and in the air. But the faster you go, the higher the stakes. Because at these speeds, there's no margin for error. These are the people who dared to go faster than anyone else and paid the price. From the moment the first cars rolled onto dusty roads in the early 1900s, something changed in us. The Wright brothers took flight in 1903, and just a few decades later, humans were breaking the sound barrier. We've strapped ourselves to rockets, bolted jet engines onto cars, and raced across deserts, lakes, and skies, chasing a number that's always just out of reach. In the words of early racers, speed is life. That simple idea drove generations to go faster, no matter the cost. But as speeds climbed, so did the danger. At 300, 400, even 600 miles per hour, physics becomes a cruel master, as tires can shred from the heat and pressure, and a slight shift in aerodynamics can lift the vehicle off the ground. On water, the surface becomes unpredictable, and tiny ripples can send a boat flipping over in a second. And once you're going that fast, there's no second chance. One small mistake and it's all over in a blink. Still, people do it. Why? Because they want to leave a mark. They want to be the first, the fastest, and the bravest. For many of these speed pioneers, it wasn't a hobby. It was their life's purpose. And that obsession has led to some of the most thrilling and fatal attempts in history. Donald Campbell, the final Bluebird Run, 1967. Starting with Donald Campbell. He was born into speed. His father, Sir Malcolm Campbell, was a legend in the racing world, setting land and water speed records during the golden age of motorsport. Donald followed closely in his footsteps, but he wasn't just trying to match his father's legacy. He wanted to surpass it. Over the course of his career, Campbell set 8 official speed records on both land and water. But it was his final attempt that would define him forever. On January 4th, 1967, Donald brought his jet-powered hydroplane, the Bluebird K7, to the calm waters of Coniston Water in England. That morning, he completed a stunning first run at over 297 miles per hour. But to set a new record, he needed a return pass. Many urged him to wait as the lake was getting choppy, but Campbell was determined. As Bluebird screamed across the water, it reached an estimated speed of 328 miles per hour. Then, in an instant, disaster struck. The boat became unstable, flipped violently out of the water, and shattered into pieces. Campbell was killed instantly. His body wasn't recovered for more than 3 decades. Years later, in 2001, the wreckage of Bluebird K7 was found and carefully restored. It now stands as a tribute to a man who dared to push the limits in an era of fearless pioneers. Donald Campbell was one of the last of the gentleman daredevils. He was a man who believed that chasing greatness was always worth the risk. John Cobb, the Loch Ness disaster, 1952. But long before Donald Campbell's tragic run, another British legend had already paid the ultimate price. His name was John Cobb. Cobb was a quiet man, but behind the wheel, he was fearless. By the 1940s, he had already set the land speed record twice. But like many racers of his time, he wasn't satisfied with one frontier. He turned his focus to water, determined to become the fastest man afloat. In 1952, he arrived at Scotland's Loch Ness with a cutting-edge jet-powered boat called the Crusader. Unlike anything the world had seen, the Crusader was sleek, experimental, and incredibly fast. Cobb's goal was to break the 200 miles per hour barrier on water, and on September 29th, during a calm morning run, Cobb reached speeds of over 206 miles per hour. Then, without any warning, disaster struck. A subtle change in the water surface lifted the Crusader off its axis. The boat broke apart mid-run, and Cobb was killed instantly. His death sent shockwaves through the racing world. John Cobb's story is a haunting reminder that even with perfect planning, speed is never truly safe. Jessi Combs, the fastest woman on Earth, 2019. Jessi Combs, who wasn't just chasing records, but rather breaking barriers. A skilled fabricator, race car driver, and television personality, she made her mark in a world long dominated by men. From the garage to the racetrack to shows like Mythbusters, Jessi lived for machines, speed, and proving people wrong. But her biggest dream was to become the fastest woman on Earth. Her vehicle was the North American Eagle, a jet-powered car built from the remains of an F-104 Starfighter jet. It was fast, designed to shatter the women's land speed record of 512 miles per hour, held since 1976 by Kitty O'Neill. So, on August 27, 2019, in Oregon's Alvord Desert, Jessi strapped in for what would be her final run. The car roared across the flat plain, reaching speeds above 550 miles per hour. But something went wrong. Suddenly, the vehicle broke apart and Jessi was killed instantly.
Now to the investigation underway into the tragic accident involving racing star Jessi Combs, known as the fastest woman on four wheels, killed trying to break a record. Paula Ferris joins us with more. Good morning, Paula.
Yeah, what a sad story. Good morning, Michael. Good morning, everyone. Jessi Combs knew what she did was dangerous, even crazy. But she also said that those who are willing are those who achieve great things.
It was a devastating loss for the motorsport community and for everyone who saw her as a role model. But her achievement didn't go unnoticed. In 2020, Guinness World Records officially recognized her final average speed at 522 miles per hour. Jessi Combs became the fastest woman on Earth. Before we go any faster, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's way safer than going 500 miles an hour, and trust me, your thumb will survive. Athol Graham, City of Salt Lake, 1960. Now, long before the age of jet cars and high-tech engineering, there were racers like Athol Graham, men with big dreams and limited resources. He wasn't backed by major sponsors or famous racing teams. He was just a mechanic from Utah with a home-built streamliner called the City of Salt Lake and a burning desire to make history. Inspired by legends like John Cobb and Malcolm Campbell, Athol set his sights on breaking Mickey Thompson's land speed record of over 400 miles per hour. He didn't have the budget or the name recognition, but what he did have was determination. In 1960, on the Bonneville Salt Flats, he made his run. The City of Salt Lake was pushing close to 300 miles per hour when something went wrong. The car veered off course, tumbled violently, and disintegrated. Athol was killed instantly. His death was a heartbreaking reminder of how unforgiving the quest for speed can be, especially for those who build their dreams from scratch. Athol Graham may not be as well known as some of the other names in this story, but his courage and passion still echo across the salt flats he called home. Lee Taylor, Discovery 2, Jet Boat, 1980. Then, Lee Taylor was no stranger to speed. In 1967, he became the fastest man on water, hitting 285 miles per hour in his boat Hustler. Years later, Australian racer Ken Warby took that title away, and Taylor couldn't let it go. Determined to reclaim his crown, Taylor returned with a new machine, Discovery 2. It was a powerful jet boat, driven by a J-79 jet engine taken from a military aircraft. It looked like something from the future, built for one purpose, which was raw, unstoppable speed. In 1980, on Lake Tahoe, Taylor launched his final attempt. Discovery 2 rocketed across the water, passing 270 miles per hour. But then, just like so many times in the past, the water turned deadly. The boat lifted off the surface. Within seconds, it went airborne, slammed down, and shattered on impact, killing Taylor instantly.
Topping the news tonight, a tragic story. Lee Taylor killed while trying to smash the world water speed record at South Lake Tahoe this morning. John Mallows has been on the scene covering the story for us all day. He's with us now in studio. John?
Well, Stan, some 800 people watching from the shores of South Lake Tahoe left the scene in total shock and disbelief. They had come there to watch a young man attempt to break the world watermark of 317.6 miles per hour. A man who had survived 2 near misses the last 16 years. Lee Taylor nearly lost his life in 1964. A terrible crash then left him in a coma for 18 days and no sight in his left eye. But that didn't stop Taylor because he was fascinated with speed.
Glenn Leasher, Wingfoot Express, 1964. Back in the early 1960s, the race for land speed records was heating up fast. Jet engines were being strapped to cars, and the Bonneville Salt Flats in Utah became the battleground. One of the rising stars in this new world was Glenn Leasher, a young, talented driver with big potential. He was chosen to pilot the Wingfoot Express, a sleek, jet-powered vehicle backed by Goodyear and designed to challenge the best in the world. It was literally a rocket on wheels, built to fly over the salt at incredible speeds. But Leasher never got the chance to chase the record. During a high-speed test run in 1964, something went terribly wrong. The Wingfoot Express lost control, and in an instant, the vehicle tore apart. Leasher was killed on the spot. What makes his story so haunting is that it wasn't even during an official record attempt. It was just a test. But at these speeds, even a routine run can turn fatal. The deadly edge of speed. Skiing and cycling. Well, not all deadly speed records involve engines. Some are powered by nothing more than gravity, muscle, and pure nerve. Eric Barone, known as the Red Baron of mountain biking. He pushed the limits of cycling speed, reaching over 124 miles per hour down steep slopes. But during one record attempt, his bike failed catastrophically. He was thrown through the air, hitting the ground hard enough to shatter bones. He survived, barely, but the footage became infamous. Also, Denise Muller-Koronek made history by becoming the fastest cyclist ever, towed behind a race car to a staggering 183.9 miles per hour on the Bonneville Salt Flats. She broke the record, but the risks were enormous. One wobble or crosswind could have ended it all in an instant. So whether it's skis or bicycles, the lesson stays the same. The faster you go, the less margin you have for error. Engines or not, the laws of physics don't care. The forgotten tragedies. Now, some of the darkest moments in the history of speed aren't talked about often, but they left a permanent mark. In 1955, during the 24 Hours of Le Mans, driver Pierre Levay's Mercedes launched into the crowd after a collision at high speed. The car disintegrated on impact, and its engine, hood, and burning debris flew into spectators. Over 80 people were killed, including Levay, in what remains the deadliest crash in motorsport history. Then there's Craig Breedlove, one of the most famous names in land speed history. He survived multiple terrifying crashes while chasing records in his jet-powered cars. In one attempt in 1964, his parachute failed, and the vehicle flew straight into a lake at over 500 miles per hour. He luckily walked away, drenched but alive. Water speed in particular has claimed countless lives. The instability of water at high speed makes it one of the most dangerous surfaces to race on. Dozens of drivers have died over the years in hydroplane crashes that happened in the blink of an eye. These stories often get overshadowed, but they're a powerful part of the bigger picture. Every advance in speed has come with a cost, sometimes a terrible one. Why they risk it all. It's easy to look at these stories and wonder, why do they do it? Why risk so much just to go faster than the last person? For many, the answer is simple. It's about pushing the limits of what's possible.
This isn't done for public appeal, it isn't done as a public entertainment. If I was putting on a theatrical play and nobody wanted to roll up and watch it, I should be very worried. This isn't put on as a public entertainment. Why is it put on? It's put on to try and reach a certain goal, which is to see a British boat eventually first pass the magic 300 mark. Do you think when you do this that you will then receive a certain amount of interest? I wouldn't know, and neither, frankly, do I care very much. And we don't intend to stop or spare any effort to get it. What others like to think about it is their business.
But everyone wants to know why you're doing it.
Well, that's good luck to them. Let them continue to ask. We believe there's a goal worthwhile achieving. Full stop.
To prove something, whether to the world or to themselves. Donald Campbell once said, "Speed has never killed anyone. Suddenly becoming stationary, that's what gets you." He knew the risks. They all did. Jessi Combs put it best when she said, "It may seem a little crazy to walk directly into the line of fire, but I trust that where I'm going is the right path." That mindset is what defines all of these record breakers. They weren't just thrill seekers, they were pioneers. They lived on the edge because they believed the edge was where progress happens. And while many of them didn't make it back, what they left behind continues to inspire everyone chasing greatness. Every record broken is built on the courage and sometimes the sacrifice of the brave few who dared to go faster than anyone before. Speed is fleeting, but their legacy is eternal. Now we want to hear from you. Who's your speed hero? And what extreme record should we cover next? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this ride, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next.